He who was nanos is in love with a girl. He was jealous 'cause he couldn't be part of this world. So he said, shall reign for many years. And it was said that it shall end in tears. And that is the jealousy of he who is nanos. So here we're going to take a look at They Who Were 8. Now this is everything that comes in the box other than a rule book and a reference tile. So the game I have set up here is set up currently for 3 players. The game does play 2 to 4. In They Who Were 8, players will be serving 2 gods in front of them, and those gods will also be paired up with a god to their left and one to their right. I'm only going to cover the basic rules of the game. I'm not going to go into the team version. I might cover that in my thoughts, but I'm not going to cover that here as far as the overview of the game. In order to win this game, what you're looking to do is to have a god that is part of a partnership that has the highest value of any partnership. So these 2, those 2, and these 2, whichever partnership has the highest value, and then you want to have the lowest value of those 2. Now the values are determined by these glory tokens and infamy tokens, which are worth either -1 points for infamy or 2 points for glory. The gameplay itself is rather simple. On your turn, you're simply going to play one of the 3 cards in your hand, and the card itself will tell you what you do with it. So in the case of this one, if I were to play this card, there's a symbol on it that says who I can play it on, and in this symbol here it just means that I can play it on anyone except myself, and I'm going to be putting 2 infamy and 1 glory. So if I played that, I would get 2 infamy tokens and 1 glory token, and I could choose to say put it on this god. From here, play would pass to the next player who would do the same, playing a card, and we'll say that they play this card, which allows them to put 2 infamy, and we'll put them on these 2. And then this player will play a card, and we'll just randomly select this one, and this is also on anyone except themselves. So they'll add 1 glory, and we'll say that they'll add a glory here. Once all players have played a card, then you will end that phase and you'll go to the renewal phase. The renewal phase has a feeling sort of drafting in it, and that each player will take one of the 2 cards remaining in their hand and secretly select one and pass it to the player to their left. So everyone would pass a card. Once everyone has passed a card, then the cards that were used this round are added back to the draw pile. Those are shuffled up, and each player gets 1 new card. At this point, you are ready to play another phase. Now, something else you can do during your turn, or at any point depending, some of them state when they can and can't be used, is use your god's special ability. But if you do so, you flip them over and add 1 infamy token to them. So that power can only be used once per game unless a card allows you to flip it back over. For example, I believe there's a card in here that allows you to flip them back over, but then add 2 infamy tokens to them. Play continues around and around until either all of the glory tokens or all of the infamy tokens are exhausted. So what I'll do is real quickly, I will just add random tokens around the board. Okay, so we have placed our last infamy token, so that means the game is over. Also, one thing I forgot to mention while we were going around is this is the start player token, and at the beginning of each round, it does pass to the player to the left, who is the start player for the next round. Final score, in this case, we would look and see which pair has the highest value. So this pair here, this person is worth 0. This one is worth -3, so I doubt that they're going to be the highest pair. Let's look at these two, where this guy is currently worth 3, and this one is worth 1, so they're worth 4 together. This one is worth 4. They're worth 4. So actually, this pair is worth 4 and this pair is worth 4, so that's perfect, so I can explain how tie works. In the event of pairs being tied, then the pair with the most number of glory tokens does break it. And in this case, we have 4 and we have 4. So that does not break the tie. If you actually do get to the point where you still can't break the tie, such as in this case where we can't break our tie, then it just is the god that comes first in alphabetical order within the pair. So in this case, Anatok here is the first alphabetical, so this pair would be considered the winner. Now we'll determine who is the actual winner. So in this case, this one is worth 4 within the pair itself, and this one is worth 0. So this player would have won the game, having been in the pair that is the highest value, but in this case broken the ties, and is the lowest of the two. Now, as I said, the rulebook does have some rules for a partnership game for players in teams of 2, but I'm not going to cover those rules. So that is the general idea of how you play They Who Were 8. Let's look at They Who Were 8. Now, as I said in the overview, the game does have a team variant that you can play, and it's okay. You're working with someone to build up your gods while tear down your opponent's gods, and it's fine. I don't like it myself, but I can see how it might work for others, and it's nice that they included it. Now, the game itself has some pros, but it also does have some cons to it that you should be aware of. I'm going to talk about the cons first because I don't want to leave you on that note, because the game itself is not bad. As far as the cons go, the first thing is the player count. The game is listed at 2 to 4 players, and absolutely, I would never recommend this game for 2 players. I played it the first time with 2 players, I played it several times with 2 players, and it was boring. All but 3 of the cards only work on your opponents. Well, in a 2-player game, you only have one opponent, and they have their 2 gods, but you tend to get focused on one set, and it doesn't work. Everything just feels like, I'm building your god up, tearing mine down, and it doesn't work for me at all. I can't believe that they actually intended this game ever to be with 2 players. 3 to 4 players plays wonderful in the context of what it is. Another con in the game is the iconography. Now, it isn't bad. It fits the theme, I guess. It's Spartan, it's pretty, it belongs. But I just wish that since the cards are so large, that they'd just taken the time to put the text on there. Because you find that in the first 1, 2, 3, even 4 games maybe, you're going to be going back to that reference sheet or that reference token a lot. And I don't like that. I don't see a reason for it. There's so much room on the cards. There's already some text on it. I feel like they could have just put the text of exactly what the card does without messing up the design of it. That said, the artwork in the game is really pretty. Now, I don't know much about it, but it is pretty. I'm unsure what most of it is. Like, I think one of them has like what looks like a flute or a musical instrument, and I don't really know why. So maybe some more story, but I know it was based on some poems that are supposed to be fragments, so maybe there isn't anything else to it. Another thing that I did not care for is that it feels unfinished to me. Now, the game is a microgame, so I wasn't expecting a lot, but when you take a turn, you may talk about the jealousy of Anatok. Well, we're supposed to be bards telling stories about our gods. I would like to know about the jealousy of Anatox. So I might enjoy this a little more if I played it with people who might be willing to get into it and maybe tell me of the jealousy of that god. It's not part of the game, but I feel like it would make the game more enjoyable. That said, pros on the game, however, there are a few, and there's nothing wrong with the game. The way everything works in terms of interacting with my god and your god and trying to build that pair and that semi-co-op, but in the end, I'm still trying to win this game. It all works. Everything flows smoothly. There's really no downtime to speak of in the game. I really do enjoy the passing of one card at the end of each round. It feels, well, I don't, on the other hand, enjoy the reshuffling. And it's not the act of shuffling, it's that because there are so few cards, if there's not shuffled really well, in some of the games, we just found the same 4 or 5 cards getting played a lot because the shuffling just wasn't working, and there were cards we never saw the entire game, so be aware of that. The little glass cubes in the game are nice. Overall, for a micro game and a filler, the game accomplishes its goals, and I feel like it's going to spark conversation. It could be a great game to start a game night, or maybe fill in the end of a game night, or things like that. But if you're looking for something with any meat on it, this game is not going to be something you're going to want to take a look at. It has, to be honest, no legs at all. It's really an abstract game with no meat on it. So for me, it's probably not going to stay in my collection very long, other than maybe play it with a few more people who want to play it with me, and I might try the fleshing out the story just to see how that works. It's going to probably double, triple the playtime. But after that, I think this game is probably going to depart my collection. I hope that has helped you decide if maybe this game might be something you want to look at. It does have a low price point, so that's something to be aware of. And I look forward to seeing you guys next time. He who is Nanos.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at DicetowerNetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.